So I was like, all right, well, what if we talk about evil? And I know we've got a number of videos here on the channel about, playing evil characters and what does it mean to be evil. So I was like, figured this would be a good point to revisit some of those topics and, kind of discuss this, playing evil or is it evil direction. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. All right, so we're back at it again, and this one was kind of inspired by, one of our recent games at the time of this filming that your character kind of dropped. So this is talking about a character being evil.
It took me a minute to comprehend. What are you talking about? What happened to our games? We haven't even gamed in person for a long time. It's December. We take December off, but we actually are playing our stream games. And in those bastards, something happened last season where we were confronted with these mirrors that showed us different aspects, and one of them was our future. And so, out of left field, my character, is kind of simple. He's got I believe his charisma and his intelligence are dump stats. He's kind of a simplistic character, and everyone else kind of views him more almost childlike. But that's not really 100% accurate. And he does have some dark things in his past. And he is capable of very dark things towards people that he doesn't care about. Mm-hmm. But also his future showed him that, he may go to the dark side and murder his siblings.
But, we dropped in episode 11 of season 2, spoilers, that, we had to reveal a secret. And, my recollection is, this was all voiced out loud.
It was, yes.
So, your character's like, I think I might be evil.
Yeah.
And I was
so the caveat to that, he's not super intelligent, but when he voiced it, he switched to a language that he doesn't use very often. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't recall hearing anyone else in the group use.
Right.
And so he said it in that language.
Right. I think you said it in Giant.
I said it in Giant. Yeah.
So none of the other siblings really heard it. I know my character certainly doesn't understand Giant, so I don't have the ability to really get into it. Now maybe I could look back and be like, oh, could I insulate and look for inflections and whatever have you? But I don't know whether that'd be something that Sin would do. Because, even though he's trying to become better and what have you, he's still a, charisma-heavy, selfish sorcerer and what have you. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about being evil, and your character straight up said, I think I might be evil. So it's like, all right, that's the jumping off point for this video.
Yeah, and how to relate that into other games. So before we go into the other talking points, I will just relate to how I portray Odunga in this particular game. One, he figured out that he was being used by one of the other street urchins after a while, and he felt super betrayed, so he murdered him, which he may have let slip before. He brutally just beats him to death.
Yeah.
He may or may not have let that slip from time to time, but I think Sheldon definitely has mentioned it at least once at this point. He's got a crab companion because he's Beastmaster Ranger that had gotten a magical boon. Now he can talk, and also he seems a lot smarter than he probably should be. But that being said, so that's totally a thing. But a lot of the party reacts to Unga, how he responds to them, because he's very happy to be part of a family and very caring for that family. And he also really likes animals and wildlife. One time he may or may not spent the whole entire party treasure to free a bunch of birds. After the fact, they're like, what did you just do? I'm like, I just freed all my new friends. And they're like, you spent all of our money to do it. Oops. But he does have a darker side where if he perceives something as a threat, his go-to is to murder it, and brutally so, and he can be kind of vicious.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And we've got this whole element of there's a whole story of in between seasons you lose a hand and it's replaced by a hook, and when we get into combat you're incredibly strong and powerful, so you literally do just plow through things with your axe. So it's definitely one of those things that is all right, there is the potential for this character to go down a dark path, and in an evil direction. So I was like, all right, well, what if we talk about evil? And I know we've got a number of videos here on the channel about, playing evil characters and what does it mean to be evil. So I was like, figured this would be a good point to revisit some of those topics and, kind of discuss this, playing evil or is it evil direction.
So I guess let's kind of start off with what makes a character evil and how's evil kind of defined in 5e.
It was kind of amusing, and I honestly, I haven't sat down and read the player's handbook in a long time, and I was kind of shocked because I had the impression that alignment was a bigger thing in earlier editions of the game. In 5th edition, you don't talk about alignment until you get to page 122, and there's only small little tidbits for each of the different alignments that, it kind of breaks it down. So lawful evil says creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code, tradition, loyalty, or order. Neutral evil is the alignment of, they'll do whatever they can get away with without compassion or qualms. And chaotic evil is they act with arbitrary violence spurred by greed, hatred, or bloodlust. So that's not really a lot. It packs a lot of information into that one sentence, but it's one of those things where it's I really expected more. It gives some examples of creatures that are of that particular alignment, but it's not a big deal. And when we look at the rest of the mechanics to go along with alignment, it's one of those things that is kind of falling out.
Don't look hard or long because there's not much.
So when I went into my 3-5 player's handbook, I realized that the section wasn't even all that much sooner. It was on page 103 of your player's handbook. So in the 3.5 player's handbook, it wasn't all that much earlier in the book. It's not until page 103 that they begin talking about alignment, but there is a lot more involved. There's multiple paragraphs for each one, and they do give a brief descriptor, a one-word thing for each of them. The lawful evil is the dominator, the neutral evil is the malefactor, and the chaotic evil is the destroyer. So the same things kind of are going to hold up, but you get more information in the earlier edition, of this concept. But it's enough building points to be like, all right, well, what does it mean to be evil?
Yeah, I mean, lawful evil is kind of you actually, I feel like you enjoy society to the extent of using it to your benefit, having social clout, right? All the, you probably revel in all the negative parts of society and kind of weaponize it. Mm-hmm. Where neutral evil is more well, you're for society when you can make it work for you. And chaotic evil, you just don't give a damn.
You just don't care. And
some men just want to see the world burn.
So when you look at these different components, obviously the rule set allows for you to play any of these options and be a player character. And there is a point where it can still be fun and still be a part of the team and not really be disruptive and in your play and still feel that you are playing the actual alignment type, depending upon what the rest of your story is. Now, if you're chaotic evil and you haven't attached yourself to the party or to the story in any way, shape, or form, then a lot of your things have the potential to, be disruptive to the campaign. But if you can look past the alignment and attach yourself in some way, shape, or form, you can still care about these other things, or in some cases not care, and do those elements without harming the party or the story.
If you want to be an evil character and not be an a-hole, and keep your friends and keep your D&D group going, you need more binders when it comes to playing an evil character. What I mean by binders are things that bind you to the story and that bind you to the adventuring group. Lawful evil is the easiest because you do actually believe in organizations, rules, structure, and society. You see value in these things. Oftentimes you want to turn them to your advantage, but you're not going to be arbitrary in your decisions on what you do, and there's a certain set of rules that you're going to pretty much follow. Neutral evil, you kind of do that at your convenience, and we've discussed chaotic evil, right? But still, that doesn't mean your character has to be someone that's going to blow it all up just because you're chaotic evil, right? You can be chaotic evil, and part of that could be just that your passions run super high, in all directions, right? Now, you could still love the party or love people in the party and really not give a damn about the rest of the world. And chaotic evil, you really do need to find those things that are going to make you want to work with the party and care about the party, even if you do detrimental things to the party. Not directly, but because, like, I'm going to murder this village because I can and they annoyed me. And God damn it, there was a fly in my soup. Everybody dies, right? Where, like, you're not doing anything to the party, but you might have just made their life a whole lot more difficult because now paladins are looking for the group because, they just murdered a village.
Now when we like extrapolate this, yes, you can complicate the story and still care about, the individuals. It is good to talk about these kind of things in a session 0 and discuss with the other party members, like the actual players at the table, and be like, look, this is the direction I'm thinking I'm going for my character, either as the story starts or, as it's going, when you feel this change is necessary for your character, but it can tie things together. A good party is going to be supportive, and it could be something that's like, all right, well, what if my character wants to go down an evil arc and then have time to, like to go down an evil arc and then have time in the campaign to seek redemption. These kinds of things that, are out there are really fun to do, and redemption arcs, as long as everybody's on board, can be super powerful, super awesome, and super memorable.
Or you can go to total Raceland route where, like, your character actually gets darker and darker and more evil as the game goes on. Actually, I'm kind of doing that with Doomguy. I hadn't thought about it. And to the point where you actually become, one of the nemesis at the very end. But even through it all, like, these dark underpinnings, they're there. But Raceland loves his brother Caramon, even if he thinks he's an idiot. And has some affection for some members of the party as well, and some he just completely can't stand.
Right.
But he doesn't necessarily do anything directly against them. You mentioned session 0. It's super important when you have evil characters. You need boundaries. Like, generally, like, our session 0s, we go over things that we don't want in our games. Pretty much always sexual violence is one of them that we don't want at our tables. If you're playing a character that wants to rape and pillage, that's fine, just not at our table, right? You have to respect the other members of the table, and if you do things that are, and there's all kinds of things here, like, we're adults, blah blah blah. I don't care about your asinine excuse. It's just about respecting the other people you're playing with. If your group agrees that you want those things to be in your game, that's fine. But if you're the only one that wants that stuff in your game, you're being an ass. So you either tone it down or play somewhere else.
Right.
It's really important that you get together with your players and everyone is on the same page if you're going to introduce evil characters into the game.
And you've got the ability that when you make your character, you can define, like, what are your triggers, what are your kind of things that you will actually do. If you are a Raceland, you're a wizard who can literally drop a fireball and nuke several buildings in town and not really think about it. Is this a problem? Okay, that's something to be able to look at, to consider. So have those conversations and be aware so that you can either not go down a redemption arc or, try to redeem your character to kind of become a hero. And I've played, with those kind of characters that, like, all right, am I going to be a good guy, a bad guy here? And, you meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. And you just gotta figure out how your character wants to interact with the rest of the party, the world, and, like, if you're gonna make a character that blows things up sometimes, not directly at the other PCs, but it's going to affect them, discuss that in your session 0 too. Like, hey, this is how I see this character going. Will you guys have a problem with that? And I've definitely played with players who are like, my character absolutely hates this, but I personally love it, right? Like, I love the chaos or whatever. Some people are, and just, like, get on the same page with everyone so you can play the character that you want to play, but also you're not, like, ruining everybody else's good time.
Like, I know Dave enjoys complicating the situation. He is the kind of player that, you know, if there's something that like has stalled, he's gonna insert action, and sometimes that action is gonna be not good for the party, but that makes for interesting stories.
Like maybe spending all of their gold on releasing a bunch of birds,
or throwing fire on brown mold, or any number of things that have come up over the sessions and has made for numerous memorable stories. I don't tend to go in that direction, but those things, as I said, they become memorable, and we look back with smiles, even if there's frustration at the moment.
Yeah, and the caveat to that too is if the players are like, I don't like when you do that, that's not fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would adjust to the players that I'm playing with at the table. I'm not telling you, I'm telling them.
And I'm agreeing.
Because I am an a-hole, but I try not to be that kind of a-hole, right? And like I play games to have fun, and I want my friends to have fun too. And I don't want to have my fun at their expense.
100%.
So what would you say is your major one tip to someone that wants to play an evil character but be productive in their D&D game?
So it's about communication. If you talk both in game and out of game about the things that are going on at and within the table, you've got the ability to build story and build fun, not create chaos and animosity.
Yeah, I would say, create goals, define your goals for the character, and define your relationships with the other characters at the table. They can evolve and change over time, but define them in a way that makes sense for your character to be with this group and to actually want to work with them and get their objectives or your objective. Now, it's perfectly okay if you want to have that turncoat at the very end of the campaign, but up until that point, you're mostly working with the characters. There could be a little subterfuge, that doesn't lead to direct conflict with the party until that, that end encounter, the big boss battle at the end of the campaign that you've worked out with your DM. And also, so it could be really fun in the sense that, it's so obvious, you're when it happens, you're like, I was a total jerk the whole campaign. What made you think it was going to turn out any different? So, those are just some things to keep in mind.
So, hey, you like this video, others like it, as well as all the great content you can find over on nerdarchy.com. Why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
Articles like, if you're going to go bad, go big with Archdevils and Demon Lords and 5e D&D.
Another great way to support Nerdarchy is to check out Nerdarchy the store and great products like Dark Paths Lightbound. Beginning down one of these dark paths leads to power, but at a perilous cost. What secrets will the blazing light of the Shimmer reveal? In this scenario, something sinister takes hold of the local clergy. The absolute certainty of what is right and good holds as much potential evil as wickedness and embraces it, but whispers with a voice validating what one already believes to be right. Included within is an adventure scenario, Is It All a Dream? For 4 7th level characters, a new magic item, the Necklace of Tongues, the new primal path, Path of the Dreamwalker, and a villainous crossover with the Lord of Dead Dreams.
Let us know, and the Nerdarchy community know down in the comments, what are your go-to tips for playing an evil character in a campaign?
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click on that notification bell. You know you want to.
Quick reminder, we drop several new videos a week, so come on back. But you can't wait till then? No worries, we got you covered. Building the ultimate evil D&D party.
So until next time, stay nerdy.